I can say something without fear of contradiction that life is too short to drink bad wine. And in South Africa, we do produce some of the finest wines, certainly from the New World. Tonight, we discuss fine wine, and joining me, Jose Jimenez, the Chief Executive of March Gestion, and Christina Bertner, who is the Principal of the Cape Wine Academy and also is a Cape Wine Master. I hope I haven't massacred their names too much. I am Bruce Whitfield. I can say that one with a fair degree of confidence. We're going to talk about wine investing, we're going to talk about wine futures. I want to do about that. But South African wine, New World wines, the style is younger. We like to produce them. We like to put the bottle in and no sooner the cork in, and no sooner do we do that, we remove the cork and glug it down. And that's one of the big problems we have, Christina, is that we have quite a young wine culture.
We have a young wine culture, 350 years old. Yes, young in comparison to Spain, as we were talking about. And I must say, yes, we do have a magnificent wine market. As you know, wine tourism in our country is about 26 billion rand. So there's lots to do on that part. And yes, our cellars are there. We don't have enough cellars maybe in private homes to keep them for a longer while. These icon wines that we like calling in the industry, but there's lots to do, and we have magnificent wines to show.
Now,
absolutely.
do we have wines that are worth investing in? Because the wine futures market is very big. We've seen huge things happening, for example, in French wine futures with Chinese interest in the Mouton Rothschilds and all of these great wine labels. Do we have wines with sufficient gravitas in South Africa to invest in?
I'd like to answer in two parts. I think one part is definitely foreign investment. We've had a lot of foreign investment into wineries.
Wineries, but not the wine
itself, yes.
Yeah.
So we've had that, and that's looking good. It's exciting to see that foreign people, French, Germans, other nationalities coming into our market. And then from the side of the wines, what have we got to show and how long can we show it? We've seen that the tastings from the 60s, 70s and 80s show very well. We've just had...
but in a handful of labels, surely. You're not going to find
only a handful
a Nederburg Baron from 1968 that has aged as well as I have, for example. Or you might find it's aged better.
I don't want to say any names, but
yeah,
yes, we've had. They do show particularly well. They are old wines, but we do not have a market like Bordeaux has, an en-primeur market. But
the entrepreneur market, it's the investment market, of course. Yes. You can still go, however, if I wanted to, I could go and buy 5 cases. I'd go to Waterford and go buy 5 cases of the gem at 750 rand a bottle and go and pop it into the Berghelder and forget about it for 20 years. Am I likely to get a return on my investment?
That is the big question. There are dissertations out there that have looked at that. There are a lot of people who have looked at that. We don't maybe have enough knowledge about how those wines will fare, but the idea is to come up, because we have such good pricing in comparison to the rest of the world. You must always remember 750 rand is not a big price concerning what other countries out there are producing, the Bordeaux's. And
well, let's talk to Jose, because Jose, the mere fact that you're here, and the point is you're a wine investor, you talk about the value chain of investing in wine. Are you here exploring opportunities in the South African market?
Well, to be honest with you, we have been invited to give a conference about investing in wine for one of our colleagues, First Avenue. Because overall we are value investors, we are global equity managers, and we decided a long time ago to maximize this opportunity to invest in the wine sector, but we do that through listed stocks, because we want liquidity is extremely important.
Absolutely.
Because when you buy a bottle of wine, unless you drink it, you can have to wait a long time before you sell it.
Sure.
In our case is different, because investing in listed stock, you can buy and sell every day. But also we look at the global wine industry. So we invest from fertilizers to wine distribution. So we try to maximize it to capture profits across all the value chain. That makes this fund totally different.
Do you see South African opportunity?
Of course.
Where do you see it?
I mean, it's a growing market, that's for sure. People are looking for new flavors. As it happened with Chilean wine as well. Probably if you look at French wines or Spanish wines or Italian wines, that's very good. And probably that's mean 90% of sales of the fine wine. But also people are looking right now at different things. And gastronomy and wine are growing together. And when you look for, I don't know, a very good restaurant, the wine list is extremely important. And you have to list, and you have to see the South African wines as well, or wines from New Zealand or from Australia. That gives you a flavor that this is a global industry with global flavors, and people enjoy, and that's the important thing.
Yes, indeed. Wine's a commodity these days.
And it's a wonderful commodity, and it's a commodity that is best not left in my hands. When you look at the track record of your fund, when you look at this investing in the wine value chain, what sort of returns are you getting?
Well, in the last 4 years, we have achieved 50% return.
50%?
50%. That means we have beaten the MSCI World, but also the important thing is not just to beat the index. The important thing is that we have produced that with half the volatility of the index. So we say that investing in wine is a very good way to participate on the equity side, but with a lower risk. Because this is a market where, I would say, it's luxury, it's agriculture. You have very defensive components that even if things go bad at the stock exchange, the wine sector will prevail.
Is the wine sector defensive in that? Because you would think that people with plenty of disposable income in the wine sector, in that luxury sector, are fairly bulletproof in terms of a 2008 collapse was scary, but people would have continued with, can I call it a hobby, or certainly with the more adventurous aspects of their portfolios?
Absolutely. I mean, if you like Lafite, you will continue drinking Lafite.
You can't downgrade from Lafite. No, you can't.
You can. I mean, you can have Barolo in Italy. Even you can have a very good Rioja in Spain, and probably you can buy a very good wine for 20 euros or 30 US dollars. It's not too much. You can afford it. But the good thing is you want to invest in equity in a very defensive way. The wine sector is perfect from an economic point of view. The demand of fine wine is growing all over the world. China, I would say, is a hype. Forget about China.
Yes.
It's about US, it's about Germany, it's about Sweden, it's about all these new countries. We could call them emerging economies for wine. And then supply is constrained. You can build another vineyard tomorrow, another winery, but it's going to take you probably hundreds of years to make a strong brand.
Sure.
Somebody said
It takes about 7 years to make a proper wine from vineyard, when you plant a vineyard.
Absolutely.
3 to 4, 7 years.
And that's the easy bit, frankly. You cultivate the vines, you produce the wine, you pop it into a bottle, and then to find a market for it is the next trick, of course. When you look at the South African wine industry, are we good? Are we good at what we do?
I think so. As it happened, I would say, with the new world in terms of wine. I mean, you have captured the best of all the countries. Maybe because we started producing wine in Spain a long time ago.
Yeah.
We are using the same techniques or the same procedures. But here, I mean, it's young compared, even it has, I would say, a lot of the story is young compared to the French wine or to the Spanish wine. So you have doing the cherry picking. And also you have achieved something which I think is extremely important, is to bring in good people, to bring in talent. And when you have talent, and this is a problem that if you look at the US and you look at California.
At the Napa Valley and those areas, yeah.
It has been hard to bring in there as well good people from France. So I think you're in a very good position, but branding is very much on top of the wine sector. So distribution is key, but branding, I would say, is on top.
I've been quite encouraged recently. We saw Wines of South Africa announce that Michael Jordan, who owns his own label, he's got a beautiful small farm in sort of between Stellenbosch and Franschhoek, is taking over as chairman of Wines of South Africa. If there's somebody who understands brands, there's somebody who loves wine almost as much as he loved banking in his time as CEO of FNB. He's the right guy, possibly, to be the cheerleader for South African wine, because we do need to amp up our exposure quite considerably.
Absolutely to the outside world, and that's what Vosa does. And and also for the inside world, we've got a huge potential. I mean, we've got 40 billion people, maybe only 31 billion people that can vote, so are at a drinking age, but definitely worthwhile showing ourselves off to the outside world.
Now, you got the Platter's Guide in front of you there, of course. I remember the early days. Can I have the Platter's Guide? I want to touch it. I haven't touched such a thick one ever. There was a time, Jose, when the Platter's Guide was probably that thick. 20 years ago, it was probably that thick. What has happened to the South African wine industry to take the Platter Guide from that to that?
Yes.
It's extraordinary.
Isn't it? Isn't it? 600 wineries, lots of organizations, much more structured as before. Everybody's pulling on the same string. We're all wanting to get there. We're all wanting to make money, and we're all wanting to
Is anybody
teach.
in this book making money? And that's the reality. I mean, how do you make a small fortune in the wine industry? You start with a big one.
portion.
I mean, you've got the great European labels. They must be making money. There's centuries of heritage there. Is this a sustainable thickness for a wine Bible for a country of like South Africa, or do we need to see some of the rats and mice being shed, Jose?
I hope so. I think you deserve to have more pages on that book. I'm sure of that. But as somebody say, talking about the champagne, the most difficult thing if you want to sell champagne are the first 200 years. Afterwards, it's much easier.
Absolutely right. There was a fabulous quote by either the guys at Veuve Clicquot or at Moet Chandon the other day when they were talking about the fact that 20 years from now, champagne will still be around. The iPhone, however, probably won't be. And there's something about heritage, there's something about history, there's something about the wine industry which creates longevity. I mean, we go back 350 years, we go back to Jane Austen, and we go back to the fine wines of Constantia being drunk by the ladies in Jane Austen novels. I mean,
exactly.
We have a heritage.
We have a heritage.
Do we capitalize on it nearly enough?
There's lots to do. I believe we can still do a lot more and show ourselves off, especially to the European, Chinese, and also the US market. We have a potential. We must pull together as an industry, though.
Because one gets a sense that as individual owners, individual properties go in and look for opportunities for themselves. You look at the guys from Hermanus, for example, who've made some nice inroads into the United States, for example, but they've done it themselves.
Yes.
They don't have the patience to wait for the industry. The industry needs to catch a wake up, perhaps?
Yes, we do, and we need to pull it together. And yes, we've got a lot of people in new positions at the moment in the wine industry, and it's younger people as well. I think everybody's got a vision, and we'd like to pull that vision together with everybody. So from the educational side, from the wine industry side, and from the governmental side even, skills and development, better training is one of the things we need to do in South Africa.
Jose, we wish you luck with you looking for opportunities in our part of the world. We hope you invest, and you invest heavily, and that you are handsomely rewarded. Jose Jimenez is the Chief Executive of March Gestion. That's Frenchish. Oh, God, that's dreadful. And Christina Beurtner, I've also messed up her name. The principal, I can say the Cape Wine Academy, and Cape Wine Master, I can say that. Thank you for watching. There'll be more tonight, tomorrow, with more tongue twisters, no doubt, as my producers seek to persecute me. Until then, good night.